Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of the Let's Talk series. And what we do is that we talk about everything from corporate tax to labor law to setting up your business. You tell us and we'll talk about it. But before we jump into the serious talk, I have here with me the lovely Yasmine. Yasmine Murad, a legal consultant of the A&A Associate.
Right.
Yasmine, if you could just introduce yourself.
Well, hi everyone. Thank you for having me. Basically, a bit of background story on myself. I'm from Lebanon, born and raised there, up until the age of 18. And that's where I went off to uni. I went to Edinburgh in Scotland. Great experience, great people. Honestly, would definitely recommend. But that's where I learned law. So I studied law there for 4 years. And then I came to Dubai to kind of work and get more into the working environment, gain some experience and all.
Incredible. Are you an avid traveler?
I am. I'm not gonna lie. I want to travel more. Like the pandemic kind of ruined that for me.
Didn't ruin it for us all.
It honestly affected so many people on different levels. It's insane. But yeah, hopefully more traveling to come.
But hey, you know, we're here, we're having this right now, and we're not wearing masks, so that's a big thing.
True.
It's a big deal.
Very true.
So how has your experience been as a woman in the working industry?
Well, okay, so obviously being a woman in the working industry is a bit more difficult than a man. You know, we have years kind of to make up for. We have to hustle a bit harder, a bit more, kind of prove our worth even more. You know, you got to go above and beyond to prove your worth. But I'm not gonna lie, there have been some really positive changes. You can see them, whether it's in the law, such as in Dubai. There have been a lot of positive changes, even in like other places in the other countries in the world. So it's honestly been easy for me easier than it would have been for others, I would like to say. I think some people might have had it more difficult, but in Dubai, in such a progressive country, it's not too challenging to be a working woman, and they definitely are making an effort to make it more comfortable for us in the sense of us getting equal rights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love how you just brought that up, because that's definitely something we're going to talk about later on. But yeah, as a woman, I would say, I mean, UAE is constantly evolving. Expo just ended. Our hearts are still we're still a little emotional, but hopefully there will be the District 2020. So that's exciting. But jumping back to what we were talking about, oh, you mentioned hustle culture. Yeah, I feel like we would just need a whole other episode just to talk about hustle culture.
Honestly.
And how it can get a little toxic, especially for us women.
For sure.
But jumping into now the serious talk, we will be touching upon the federal law number 33 of 2021, which came out on Wednesday. It was on Wednesday, excuse me.
No worries.
It was on Wednesday, February 22nd, I believe. Yeah.
2022.
Yeah, 2022. There are a lot of twos over there. I'm getting a little confused. But this is regarding the regulation of labor relations that have replaced the federal law.
Yes.
Number 8, I believe, of 1980. And it's great. We're seeing that new laws are coming, new laws are dissolving. I mean, the old laws are dissolving, new ones are coming.
There's always room for improvement.
Absolutely, and that's what we love to see. So, focusing on the new law that was introduced, and which is for the establishments out there, for the employers and the workers in the private sector. Could you tell us a little bit about the work models?
Sure. So currently there are 12 work permits, and you've got like 6 different work models. Some of them would be, well, all of them. They include full-time, obviously, part-time work model. You have flexible work model, job sharing work model. We've also got remote work, which is really handy, especially after like the whole, pandemic thing. Yeah, for sure. And
I think there's even the job sharing model. I think that's the new one.
Yeah,
that's the new one.
That's quite surprising. I think to some people it would be kind of odd. Yeah. But basically, so I can run through them a bit. Basically, the job sharing work model is where a task or like several tasks are divided amongst different workers, different employees, in order to achieve the tasks that are given by your superiors.
Yeah.
And then the pay will kind of be divided in a way to reflect that in a way that is proportional.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I've never heard of this before, but it's great to see that the laws are evolving.
No, definitely, because you need to always make room for a constantly changing society. You know,
for sure.
And the laws need to adapt to that. Society needs to adapt to the laws. It's kind of.
I think there's even another one. There's a flexible work model.
Yes.
Just a bit about
so
that.
the flexible work model is basically where you get to work either between one or more employers. And it works in the sense of where, you know, the working hours, they're not like the set working hours, the 8 hours daily or 48 hours per week as you would in full-time. And you're not just limited to like one employer, you can have multiple employers. So that's basically an overview of flexible work.
And then we've got our general ones, the ones that have been there previously too.
Such as the full-time and the part-time, as you know, is not as many hours. It's like the full-time. So set at 8 and 40.
Just something that came to my mind off the top of your head. If you could choose one, which one would you go for?
Oh, that's a good one, actually. See, so I like full-time, but I would like it in a sense, I like half remote work. That would be ideal, where it's like 3 days a week you're at home, you're relaxing, especially in Ramadan now, you need that, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, it's definitely good. And then some other part, let's say 2 days a week, you're at the office. It's always good to still have the office environment where you go to work, you interact with other employees, like your colleagues, and even like interact with your clients in person. I think especially as a lawyer, that does make an effect. Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like we should ask the same question to our audience members too, to those watching. If you had the option to choose one out of these 6, or maybe blend them a little bit, let's give them some options. What would you choose? Let us know in the comments below. Personally, I think I'd go for the same one, as you're saying, a little bit of in-person, a little bit remote. It's just like, because since the pandemic, so much has happened, so much has changed. And even though it had a negative impact to society, I'm glad that we know we're picking up and we are evolving and we are growing and we are changing, and we're seeing what we can do with what we have to benefit our society. And I think it's incredible that they've started, they've put this in the law, that now there's an option to work remotely.
I mean, you've got people that are, you know, they're employed in Dubai, but then they're working from their home country, for example. Like, that's also another option that I think is very suitable for many people.
Absolutely, absolutely, especially in the time we live in, where a lot of people are facing financial issues. It's definitely a way to increase jobs for people, not just in the UAE, but even abroad, if they've gone for a visit and they want to work perhaps for maybe like a month.
And it helps you build connections as well. Like, it's just really good in that it opens like a lot of doors for you. It's good to have in your CV where you're working in different countries, interacting with different people and all.
For sure, for sure. And now jumping into, as us women would understand, the female presence in the work industry. What are your thoughts, before I jump into the law bit, of like the female presence at the moment?
Well, honestly, I'm really proud of everything we've come to achieve. I'm not gonna lie. Like, whenever I see female speakers, like whether they're politicians or journalists or big lawyers or judges, whatever it is that they're doing, they can be doctors, just anything, even like teachers that are building like your future, your kids' future. It's just, I think it's amazing to see a female presence right now, because it's just really important to reiterate that what you do, we can do as well.
Of course.
And what you get, we need to get too. You know, we deserve the same rights. And it's good to see the law kind of making an impact in that sense as well, not just society.
Let's just say we love to see women thriving, always. But tell us a little bit about the rights of women in the new law that's come out.
So I think one article that I'd mentioned in the new law is like Article 4. So specifically Clause 3 that mentions, sorry, I'm being very legal right now.
I gotta take notes right now, this is just too much for me.
But yeah, so Article 4, Clause 3, it's basically saying that, all workers, so all of the regulations that go towards workers without discrimination, like employment of workers without discrimination, should also apply for women. I think that's really good. And another Clause 4 in Article 4 again. Sorry, write that down.
Where's my pen?
But that one basically states that women are entitled to get the equal wage for the same work that another man would be working, or if they're doing, you know, an alternative work but of equal value, then they are entitled to an equal wage as a man.
You know, it's crazy to even think about, like, just like, you know, how far we've come as a society. Like,
sure.
if you just look back, and I'm not even talking about 1,000 years ago. Just look back
10 years ago. Not even like,
yeah, like, you know, like, it's just that we've come so far as a society, and it's incredible to see the opportunities now for women speaking up for their rights. And credit goes to all those women, you know, those the women march, all those marches that have happened in history, where women and even men have pushed for women's rights. And here we are today, 2 women sitting and talking without masks, finally. It just shows how far we've come, and it's amazing to see. It really is.
I think there's also sometimes a misconception in society as to what it means to be a feminist. You know, I think some men, maybe even some women, can think, oh, if you're a feminist, then you're really extreme. Like, if you're a feminist, then you want more rights than men, or you want to erase men's rights, you just want to be on top. But that's not true. Like, being a feminist, you just want to be acknowledged, you want to be given the opportunities that you deserve and the rights that you deserve. That's all it is. And I think everyone should be a feminist, and everyone should be an advocate for women's rights.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is a lot of misconceptions about, you know, I'm a feminist. In fact, some people get triggered. You know, if you even say that I'm a feminist, and they're like, oh, so you think you're better than us? And I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much more to it, and that is why it's so important to have these discussions in order to educate people, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm definitely learning a lot. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so there's a lot that I've been learning today and with my discussion with you, and it's great. We're all learning, and this is how we move forward. This is how we take a step forward as a society, and this is how we will grow and thrive. But jumping back to the federal law, tell us a little bit about the maternity.
Right, so basically, a woman is entitled to 60 days of maternity leave. And the way that it's divided is that the first 45 days are with full wage, and then you've got the following 15 days where a woman's entitled to half wage. So that in total makes the 60 days. And then a good thing is that a woman's also entitled to 45 days, but it's without wage. And that is basically in the case of, you know, your own sickness, whether it's due to childbirth or pregnancy, or your child, like your newborn sickness, then you'd be entitled to 45 days of continuous or intermittent leave, basically, but without wages, for sure.
That's incredible. In fact, one of my friends, I mean, she was working too, but she got pregnant recently, and then she took it off. And I honestly, I wouldn't even know about the laws until she mentioned it to me that, hey, this is what my company told me. This is, you know, this is how it goes. So I'm like, that's amazing, right? That there's opportunities even, you know, for women. And I mean, if you wish to work, right? Because I know there are a lot of super women out there, those pregnant women you see, like who get into their jobs and they work, like some of them don't take off, by the way.
That's insane.
I have so much respect.
I applaud them,
so much respect for those women. But you see these women and you're like, wow, like this is great. Like this is great what UAE is doing. And we're just going to go ahead from here, really.
Honestly.
Anything else you'd like to add regarding women's rights or maternity?
I mean, honestly, just the fact that we are acknowledged within, like, you know, getting equal wage and not facing any discrimination, having been there, like being there in the law, I think that's just really important, because equal wage is something we've been fighting for so long.
For sure.
And I think it's something that we're still going to be fighting for in other countries, or even, you know, you never know, like you can always push for more, I think. From the way that this society was built, in the sense of like, oh, it's a working man society, to now it being like, no, women can do this too.
It's for everyone.
Exactly.
Right?
So we can always, I think, do a bit more, but for now I do agree that the law right now, all that it's providing for women is really good. The new changes, the equal wage, the maternity, all of that is like amazing.
I think this is a really big move from the UAE government side, and I mean, UAE itself has come such a long way, and it's amazing because they're always listening to their people. You know, whatever they want, they give. Especially like if you saw in Expo, how it was all about giving back to people, right? and just bringing people together. And that's honestly what UAE is all about, the unity, the opportunity, the land of opportunities.
Exactly, you have people from all over the world here. Like even dealing with clients, I have European clients, I have, African clients, I have Tunisian, Arabs, everywhere. But like, it's not just one set where it's like, oh, you've only got, the people of the country. No, like people from everywhere working here and aspiring to like just building their life and their career here.
And that is the best part, because then you meet these different individuals who come from different backgrounds, have different stories, and then they tell you, as a journalist, I love hearing stories, right? I love telling stories. So when I hear these stories from different people, they're just, they're very inspiring, because everyone has their own unique story, their own unique experience. And that inspires you. And it's just incredible to have such a mixture of people here.
For sure.
Because that is how we will thrive, right? Overall,
Definitely.
Because we will learn from each other.
Definitely.
And that is the way moving forward.
I agree.
And I think that brings an end to, I wish it could go longer. I would sit here all day, honestly. But that brings an end to our episode. It's been a pleasure really having you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
But guess what? This isn't the end. We're going to continue our conversation. We're going to continue our conversation in the next episode. We're going to dive a little deeper into the federal law. What is it again? I take notes again.
Do you want to give you articles and
please? Federal law number 33 of 2021.
You got this.
I did. And we'll be going a little deeper into this law and discussing the laws regarding the employment of juveniles. Definitely. And a bit more into overtime, sick leaves, and working hours in general. And just for me to learn more about all of these laws that have come out in the UAE, to educate myself and to, of course, let our audience members know. So we're just constantly aware, right, of everything.
Of course.
Make sure to check out us on all our socials, Facebook, YouTube. You guys know it really well. A&A Associate, and to stay up to date with everything that we have going on. And of course, we'll keep you guys updated on our next episode. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, or even if you remember that question I'd mentioned before? I think I'll repeat it again about would you want to talk about the work model? So for the audience once more.
Yeah, sure. We've kind of gone
through. So there's like the full-time model.
You've got, the full-time, the part-time, of course, the
flexible work model.
The job sharing, and the remote. So and then you've got just one more model.
The part-time, they're temporary. They're
temporary,
but
for sure.
Just have a look at these and see which one would you want to go for, or even blend them a bit. Let us know in the comments below, and if you have any questions, of course, you can drop them, and we'll definitely address them. So yeah, I think that's a wrap. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for being here, and we will see you guys next time. Stay tuned.
Bye.